Heartwarming transformation. 5 years later, a revealed love left in tears by his incredible wife. In the quiet hum of autumn, the leaves danced against the crisp air, but John felt a chill that ran deeper than the falling temperatures. Once, his laughter echoed around the family home, filled with memories of summer BBQs, the sound of his kids playing, and late-night talks with Sarah. Now, the warmth was gone. They trudged through days in silence, weighed down by unspoken words and lingering frustration. The corner of his workshop, cluttered with the relics of past dreams and classic cars, was a sanctuary, but it felt more like a prison. 5 years had passed since their dreams seemed to grip onto something solid. Back when John returned from war, he was a proud veteran, ready to build a life, to create a family. Sarah, with a heart as big as the town itself, had nurtured their neighborhood through dark days, her compassion earning her cheers as she worked tirelessly as a nurse. But amidst the love, the strain of responsibility festered. Bills piled high, every late payment echoing a disapproval that squeezed their once joyous connection. Their conversations turned into exchanges of curt words about schedules and payments. Love letters became grocery lists. John found himself lost in fixing beaten-up cars. Their faded paint and rust mirrored his own heart, constantly battling against wear and tear. Meanwhile, Sarah fought battles of her own, tirelessly lifting spirits at the hospital. Her face lit up as she held hands with patients. Yet that smile dimmed in the solitude of their home, where the shadows of what they had haunted them. Before they knew it, everything they cherished began to slip away. Just when the cloud hung heavy, leaving them both in a state of lingering sadness, the town faced an unexpected crisis. A devastating storm struck, wrecking homes and businesses along Main Street. In the chaos, something extraordinary happened. John stepped up, rallying the community, offering his shop as a hub for rebuilding efforts, channeling his pain into purpose. His grit shone through the darkness, igniting a spark of hope. The townsfolk rallied around him, inspired by a man who had once fought for his country, now fighting for his community. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. Amidst the destruction, Sarah found herself alongside him, their shoulders touching as they sorted through the wreckage together. For the first time in what felt like an eternity, they shared a laugh, a soft but genuine sound that floated in the air, mixing with the scent of wet earth and pine. And in that fleeting moment, every hardship they faced stitched together the remnants of their love, pulling them closer. But as the dawn surfaced over the town, doubt lingered like morning mist. Would their love withstand the shadows of past hurt? Together they had faced the storm, but could they weather the emotional aftershocks? With their hearts still tender, the question remained. Could they reclaim the love that once shone so brightly, or would they drift apart into the void? The uncertainty clawed at him, leaving a bittersweet taste that felt all too familiar. John stood before the debris of what was once a bursting storefront, heart racing as he turned to Sarah. The morning light unveiled a refreshing glow, momentarily blinking away the heaviness that shadowed their lives. He wanted to hold on to that fleeting joy, the touch of her shoulder, the way her laughter created waves that washed over him. But beneath the surface, anxiety curled. "Are we really doing this?" he asked, tapping his fingers against the wooden frame of a fallen sign. Her eyes met his, a fiery mix of determination and vulnerability. "We have to, John. This is our chance to help the town, and maybe ourselves, too." A wave of trepidation washed over him. Their lives had been so consumed by routine and disagreement that stepping into this new role felt foreign, daunting. But as he looked around, he saw the faces of neighbors gathering together. The shared purpose was palpable. This was their community, their life woven into the fabric of each other's struggles and triumphs. Hours flew by, and amidst the chaos of volunteers, John's resolve began to solidify. They assigned tasks, lifted heavy debris, and sorted supplies. He could feel a sense of pride growing as he watched Sarah dive into her work, holding on to every bit of energy and compassion as she treated scrapes and bruises with tender care. "Good job, Sarah," someone called out, and he noticed the light in her eyes brighter than he had seen in years. She was in her element, and, as he worked beside her, it sparked something deep within him. The flicker of overtime, the laughter they once shared, somehow connected to this moment. As darkness began to settle, John paused, watching Sarah stand back to admire her handiwork, a freshly painted mural on an exterior wall that had been scratched and defaced by the storm. The bright colors, gears intertwining with flowers, symbolized the resilience of their town. And in that moment, he dared to hope. "Look at that," he said, walking over beside her. "You did this. It's us, together," she corrected, nudging him playfully with her elbow, the laughter breaking through the tension they had lived under for so long. Their hands brushed again, igniting that familiar spark. But doubt nestled back into his heart, a reminder of the challenges still looming ahead. "Sarah, can we keep this going?" he ventured, the weight of uncertainty returning. Her gaze softened, and she took a deep breath. "I want to, John. I really do, but it's going to take more than just moments like today. It's going to take honesty and facing the hard parts." A knot formed in his throat. She was right. The shadows wouldn't just disappear because they worked together one day. They needed to confront the elephant in the room, the pain and resentment, the harsh words exchanged over those years. Could they do that? As the sun set, spilling colors across the horizon, John felt a surge of hope, but it mingled with fear. This transformation might just be the beginning, the threads of love beginning to weave themselves again. But what would the next step look like? And could they reconcile the past in a way that truly healed them? The town may have been healing, but their hearts were still a canvas waiting to be painted new. With a lingering glance towards the fading light, John knew one thing. They were on the edge of something profound, but the question remained, would they find the courage to embrace the truth waiting in the shadows? The next morning began with a haze of unease lingering in the air. John awoke to the muted sounds of the town bustling outside his window. There was always something stirring there, so familiar yet distant, like a memory just out of reach. He pushed himself off the bed, his thoughts swirling back to the mural they unveiled together, the laughter, and how hopeful it felt. But hope felt heavier now, burdened by the shadows of yesterday. He dressed quickly, his heart racing, and made his way downstairs. Sarah was already in the kitchen, flipping pancakes while humming an old tune. Her back was turned to him, oblivious to the whirlwind of thoughts in his mind. "Morning," he said, trying to infuse his voice with positivity. "Morning," she chirped, turning around with a bright smile that momentarily swept away his worries. Yet, as she placed a plate in front of him, John couldn't shake the feeling that he was still on the precipice of something unresolved. "Sarah, about yesterday," he began, his voice trailing off. He could see her smile falter at the uncertainty in his tone. "I know," she said softly, picking at a loose thread on the tablecloth. "We really need to talk." The words hung between them, thick and heavy. John felt a knot form in his stomach. The honesty they needed loomed like an unwelcome guest. They had spent years avoiding those deeper conversations, only cleaning the surface and leaving the chaos underneath hidden. Yet, each stroke of painted color on the mural echoed so many emotions they brushed aside. "Let's go for a walk," he suggested, shifting in his chair. She nodded, her expression shifting to one of resolve. They stepped outside hand in hand, and the cool morning air felt refreshing against John's skin. They walked through the streets of their town, passing neighbors who greeted them warmly. He noticed the growing sense of community that surrounded them, a stark reminder of what they were hoping to achieve. As they made their way to the park, John felt a quiet surge of courage. "What is it you want from us, Sarah?" he dared to ask, words tumbling out of his mouth before he could reconsider. She stopped walking, pulling her hand from his. "I want us to be honest about the way we feel about everything," she replied, her voice steady yet soft. "We can't keep pretending. It's not just about the town, it's about us." Her gaze locked onto his, and John felt exposed. Her sincerity was both comforting and terrifying. "I felt so lost. I don't want to lose this us," he admitted, the words releasing a wave of pent-up emotion. Sarah stepped closer. "Neither do I. But every time I try to talk, it feels like I stumble over old wounds. We've let so many things build up." John ran his hand through his hair, feeling the weight of his confession surfacing. Unsaid arguments, unresolved feelings swirled in his mind like a tempest. What if we could face everything together? The thought slipped out, bright and delicate, like a piece of art waiting for color. She nodded slowly, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears. "Together, but we can't just sweep it under the rug anymore. We need to be truthful, heart and soul." John took a deep breath, feeling a sense of connection igniting the darkness. Unsure yet determined, they stood on the edge of something transformative, not just for themselves, but for their love. He reached for her hand again, squeezing it gently. "Let's paint it all, then. The good, the bad, the colors we've yet to create." As they resumed their walk, John's heart pounded with a mix of fear and excitement. They were about to uncover the depths of their hearts. But what unvarnished truths would they encounter? Would the colors stick, or would they bleed into one another? In that instant, the weight of the past felt lighter, yet the uncertainties lay ahead, thick and present. The journey was just beginning, but John sensed that coming together would change everything. Would they find the strength to brush away the past and fill those frames with bright new memories? Or would they be lost in the shadows once more? As they arrived at the park, the sun peeked through the trees, casting a warm glow on the fresh green grass. The playground filled with laughter from children, their joy a stark contrast to the heaviness in John's chest. He watched Sarah's face, taking in the way her eyes sparkled in the sunlight. This was his moment, a chance for them to be real, to dig into the layers they had long neglected. "Let us sit," he said, guiding her to a wooden bench nestled beneath a flowering tree. The petals danced gently in the breeze, their soft colors inviting yet fragile. Once seated, silence wrapped around them, thick but not uncomfortable. Sarah dug her fingers into the wood of the bench. John noticed her nervousness and felt his heart ache for her. "I know this isn't easy," he said gently, "but talking about what's buried inside, it's the only way we'll find our way through." "Right?" she replied, taking a deep breath. "I just feel like if we start peeling back the layers, we might uncover too much. What if we can't handle it? Maybe we need to try anyway," he said, his voice trembling slightly. "We've already faced a lot together. The mural, the community project, even just daily life. This is just another piece of us." Sarah looked at him, her eyes searching his face for reassurance. "You're right. We have faced a lot, but I've also been afraid to say what I really feel. I don't want anything to change our connection. This is our safe place." John took a deep breath, sensing the urgency of the moment. "What if I told you that I felt scattered, like I'm trying to build something beautiful, but never quite sure where to place each color? I always thought we had time to figure things out, but what if we really don't?" The vulnerability in his words hung heavy between them, and he watched as a tear spilled down Sarah's cheek. He wanted to reach out, to wipe it away, but he stayed still, giving her space. "I want you to feel free to express it all. I don't want to hold back either. I guess I've been scared of hurting you. I felt that weight too," she admitted, her voice cracking. "Every time I bottle up my feelings, I feel the distance grow between us. It's like I'm holding back our colors, like I'm afraid to paint outside the lines." John felt a surge of empathy. "Just a few strokes, and we could alter the scenery, you know? Where would we be if we didn't take the chance to redesign our canvas? Together we could create something amazing," she replied, her voice finding strength amidst the fear. "Then let us unpack these shadows," he urged, both terrified and exhilarated. Whatever we find, we can face it together. As they spoke, it was as though the birds above drew closer, listening to their conversation, weaving their shared vulnerabilities into sweet melodies. In that moment, the world around them faded, and it was just the two of them, two souls, standing at the brink of a transformation that had been waiting for years. "I love you, John," Sarah whispered, and her admission sunk deep into his heart. "I love you too, Sarah. All of you, every color, every shadow. We can create beauty from all of it," he said, knowing their journey was no longer about avoiding pain, but embracing it as part of their shared story. A cool breeze swept through the park, stirring the air filled with fresh beginnings. They clasped hands firmly, their gazes locking, and an unspoken understanding passed between them. They were ready to paint, to embrace both the light and the dark. Yet, just as hope began to swell within them, a loud commotion echoed nearby. A group of teenagers stumbled into view, laughter and reckless joy spilling over in waves. Sarah's eyes flashed away from him. What if they judge? What if their laughter is at our expense? In that instant, John felt a rush of uncertainty. Were they prepared for outside scrutiny, or was this newfound bravery fragile enough to shatter? What if the colors they dared to paint weren't understood by the world around them? Together, they faced a decision. Would they withdraw, hiding their emotions behind false smiles, or emerge in all their messy honesty? The blend of possibilities loomed before them, vibrant yet unpredictable. But as the laughter grew louder, John knew one thing for sure. The real challenge lay ahead. "Are we ready?" he asked, gripping her hand tighter as he felt the confrontation before them. Sarah took a deep breath, her eyes steady. "Let's find out." John held his breath as the teenagers drew closer, their laughter bright and unapologetic. For a brief moment, the park was a kaleidoscope of colors, shivering under the weight of a decision that felt monumental. He could sense Sarah's tension, her grip on his hand tightening, and he fought the urge to pull back from the vulnerability they were weaving between them. "Remember," he murmured, "this is our moment." With a nod that seemed to grant her permission, Sarah straightened her back, her chin rising slightly. She glanced at the group, filled with confident energy, and for a heartbeat, John thought he saw doubt flicker in her eyes. But then she looked back at him, and they shared a silent promise whatever they faced, they would face it together. As the teenagers approached, the atmosphere shifted. A few of them noticed John and Sarah sitting there, fingers entwined, their serious conversation highlighted against the backdrop of carefree laughter. Brief whispers flitted from one teen to another, their amusement mixing with curiosity. John could feel his heart pound, an unsteady rhythm betraying his calm exterior. "Let us show them who we are," he said softly, sensing they were teetering on the edge of revelation. "Yeah," she replied, unsure yet powerful, her voice steadying his resolve. The teenagers continued their banter, unaware of the tension thickening the air. One, clad in a bright red shirt, paused mid-laugh when he noticed the tear on Sarah's cheek. "Hey, you all right?" he shouted across the grass, genuine concern breaking through their teenage bravado. John's breath hitched. It wasn't the judgment they feared. It was an opening to something completely unexpected. "We're good," John called back, surprised by his own brightness. "Just having a moment." The inquiry seemed to diffuse the tension. Laughter fluttered behind it, but now it felt different. There was sincerity, a recognition that even in their own carefree joy, others were facing struggles too. As the teens continued their game, John and Sarah exchanged a glance of relief, allowing a small smile to break the weight of the moment. "See?" John breathed, feeling lighter. "It's not about them judging us. It's about us sharing our truth." "I guess it's easier said than done," she replied, a hint of mischief returning to her eyes. John chuckled, buoyant with the lightness that accompanied their honesty. "Exactly. But we have to put ourselves out there. It's the only way to paint our lives the way we want." Drawing a deep breath, Sarah leaned in closer. "Do you remember when we started all of this? The mural project, our late-night talks?" The words pulled them back through time, and John nodded. "It felt so different then. Simpler." "Yes, And we avoided so much too, she reflected. The truth is, I'm tired of hiding, tired of only showing the good parts. The more she spoke, the more empowered they both felt. Each word painted over their fears, layering hope and courage on top of vulnerability. Together, they intertwined their stories, creating a mutual masterpiece of honesty. Maybe we can start with little things, John suggested, emboldened. Tell each other one thing we never said. One truth, no matter how small. Okay, Sarah agreed, breathing in the risk they were about to take. You go first. John hesitated, the truth battling inside him. I've always been scared that you might not see me as enough, he admitted. In my heart, I thought I had to be perfect, and you're not. And that's okay, Sarah interrupted, her voice dropping to a whisper. I felt the same way. But what it really means to me is that I love you for everything you are not for some ideal world. Fueled by validation, John's spirit soared. You're right. I want to be someone for you. But I realize now that being just me is the best thing I can offer. As Sarah smiled through her tears, John felt the layers between them dissolve, revealing their true colors. A kaleidoscope of emotion emerged, vivid and unrefined. They could see the world around them shift, the laughter of the teenagers blending into the personal symphony they were composing right there, right then. But as they exchanged a new depth of honesty, a shrill cry rang out from the teens, abruptly breaking their moment. Guys, come quick. You have to see this. The urgency filled the air, yanking their attention away from each other. What's going on? John asked, curiosity peaking in his chest. I don't know, Sarah said, scanning the group. And as they got up to follow the sound, John thought to himself, what more could they uncover about each other today? Just as they stepped into motion, he wondered what other layers lay beneath their surface, waiting for the courage to be unveiled. The sound of clamoring voices grew louder as John and Sarah approached the group of teenagers, their hearts racing with anticipation. Curiosity buzzed in the air, mingling with the lingering threads of honesty they'd just shared. The laughter and shouts melded into a cacophony that seemed to pull them forward, uniting both the carefree youth and their newfound resolve. As they reached the gathered crowd, John spotted the bright red shirt of the boy who had called out earlier. He was pointing excitedly at a small commotion unfolding under a tree. You got to see this, he exclaimed, framing an invisible picture with his hands. Intrigued, John and Sarah pushed through the crowd until they could clearly see what everyone was gasping about, that a straggly dog, clearly a stray, was fidgeting beneath the low-hanging branches, its wide eyes darting in confusion. Sarah's heart instinctively filled with compassion. Oh, poor thing, she whispered, instinctively taking a step forward. Let me get to it, John responded, despite the flutter of uncertainty in his own chest. He loved animals, but taking care of one today? The pressures of their earlier moment rushed back to him. Still, he couldn't ignore the pleading look in Sarah's eyes. Be careful, she called as he crouched low, arms outstretched. But as he got closer, the dog stumbled back, tail tucked. A few of the teenagers giggled, partly out of amusement, but mostly from the unspoken awkwardness of the situation. Come on, bud. It's okay, John coaxed gently, careful to maintain his calm. He glanced back at Sarah, who stepped beside him, exuding a quiet strength. The connection they had sparked moments ago ignited again, filling the space around them with warmth. Under that tree, both were reminded of the rawness they had glimpsed earlier, honest, unrefined, and beautiful. The dog didn't budge, though, and John felt an overwhelming urge to break the tension. You know, he began, his tone playful as he shot the crowd a grin. I think just waiting for someone to tell him worthy, too. The laughter that followed felt lighter, filled with understanding. Sarah chuckled softly, her hands slipping into John's as if it were the most natural thing in the world. Their fingers entwined, they stood grounded together, both present not only for the dog but for one another. Taking a breath, John leaned in closer. This little guy isn't so different from us, right? Just waiting to be accepted. Exactly, Sarah agreed, her voice a soft melody amidst the harmonies of young laughter. We've all got our fears, our moments of being lost, but when we come together, we can make a difference. With newfound courage, John slowly moved closer again, and the dog studied him, eyes wide but slowly losing some of that initial fear. "See," he said, turning back to the teens. "Sometimes it just takes a little patience and kindness." Just then, a girl from the group spoke up. "Why don't we all help?" Her enthusiasm was contagious, and John could see others begin to rally. "We can create a safe space for him." "Yeah," another one chimed in. Suddenly, the focus shifted. They formed a circle, each person taking a step forward like a heartbeat, gathering their strengths to welcome the dog into their fold. John and Sarah seamlessly slipped into the rhythm, each moment binding them tighter as layers of understanding and compassion enveloped their initial vulnerability. As the crowd laughed and encouraged the shy creature, John felt the surge of something more profound unfurling within him. He glanced sideways at Sarah. Her eyes shimmered with hope, and he realized they were both subtly transformed by this very moment. But as the dog finally hesitated, lowered its tail, and crept forward, a loud bang erupted behind them. A small firework splashed across the sky, shattering their collective focus. "This isn't what I was expecting," John shouted amidst the popcorn of colors. "Let us go," Sarah called out excitedly, her face illuminated with wonder. They turned, hearts lifting with a spark of shared anticipation, knowing that every moment of joy, every shared effort they created together only mattered more. "Wait," John exclaimed suddenly, remembering. "We still have things to unveil, truths to share." But as they moved toward the flickering lights, John's heart raced with excitement and uncertainty. Was sharing the truth their real challenge? Or would there be a moment amidst the brilliance of fireworks where they would need to reveal more than just stories? The air crackled with excitement as the firework display lit up the night sky, casting a kaleidoscope of colors across their faces. John's heart pulsed wildly, caught between the beauty above them and the weight of everything they had yet to confront. Sarah's eyes sparkled like the stars, mirroring the wonder that enveloped them. But within him, a storm was brewing. What if tonight isn't just about the fireworks? John thought, a surge of urgency pushing him forward. He was slowly becoming aware that the rawness they had triggered earlier was not just a fleeting spark. It was a fire that awaited their attention. As more fireworks erupted, fragments of light caught John's attention and drew him back to the little dog who had momentarily faded from their minds. Had they turned away too soon? He glanced at Sarah. "Let us not forget why we started this," he said, his voice steady despite the sounds of celebration around them. "Agreed," Sarah replied, the intensity in her eyes fueling his determination. They stepped back from the gathering crowd, enjoying the show, heading towards where they had left the shy pup. But as they approached, they found the area deserted. The teens had followed the fireworks, leaving the dog behind. John's brows knitted together. Where did everyone go? He felt a pang of sorrow for the little creature that had brought them together in the first place. It was now alone again. "Maybe it just needs a bit more time," Sarah said, her heart echoing his own feelings. "Let us call for him." Together they crouched low, their voices soft and inviting. "Hey there, buddy, it's okay. We're still here." John felt the world around them fade, his eyes scanning the ground beneath the tree as shade. Suddenly, out from the brush emerged the stray. Its body was tense, but the way it cautiously stepped forward showed a flicker of trust. John's heart swelled as he recalled how that same trust was often elusive in people. Could they show that same kind of patience with one another? With a deep breath, he reached out his hand, palm up, just as he had done before. The dog hesitated, sniffing the air, then took a few tentative steps closer. "See, it's all about taking that first step," he whispered, glancing at Sarah, who nodded in eager encouragement. "Just like us," she said softly, and her words hung in the air, heavy with meaning. As the dog finally approached and sniffed John's fingers, relief flooded through him. The moment felt monumental. The dog's acceptance symbolized more than just a bond. It mirrored their journey, reflecting their own courage to step forward amidst fear. Just then, the sound of laughter erupted nearby. The crowd had returned, cheers filling the air as they relished the final bursts of fireworks. The colors painted bright trails against the darkness, prompting curiosity and excitement in the previously detached teens. "Introduce him," someone called out. With a smile, John joined them in the light. "Everyone, this is our new friend. Yes, just a little shy, but totally worth knowing." The group cooed and kneeled, letting the boy embrace the kindness that echoed in their earlier attempts. John felt a swell of pride, not just for breaking down barriers with the dog, but for the authenticity the teenagers were ready to share with him. Now, as the laughter continued, John turned back to Sarah. "We should share our truths too. Maybe tonight we can draw from their light and light the way for ourselves." "What do you mean?" she asked, her eyes questioning but hopeful as he could feel the words boiling inside him. Would they be brave enough to unveil their own fears and dreams tonight? But before he could answer, a particularly loud explosion of fireworks drowned out his thoughts, the colors blotting out all else in their brilliance. "John!" Sarah's voice pierced through the noise, tinged with excitement. "I think we should now is when we reveal our truth." Will they take that leap? Will their shared bond propel them into the unknown, or will fear keep them silent? John took a deep breath, feeling the spark in Sarah's eyes ignite his own resolve. The canopy of fireworks created a breathtaking backdrop, but the real magic lay in the promise of vulnerability they were about to share. "Okay," he said, his voice steady yet laced with anticipation. "We need to talk." Sarah nodded, leaning closer, her breath mingling with the fireworks' fading echoes. "About what?" Her tone was soft, drawing him in like the warmth of a bonfire. "About everything." John hesitated. The words felt heavy, but the fireworks bursting above lent him courage. "We've been through a lot together, and I think it's time we lay it all out. You know how we really feel." The air buzzed with the remnants of celebration around them. Laughter floated through the night, but here it felt intimate, almost sacred. The idea of sharing unguarded feelings stirred excitement and fear simultaneously. "What if they don't understand?" she asked quietly, shadows from the fireworks dancing across her face. "That's okay. This is about us, not them." He met her gaze boldly. "If we don't speak up, we risk losing each other without even knowing it." She looked away, contemplating his words. The signs of doubt played across her face, but within them lay a flicker of understanding. "I wanted to say something too," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "Then say it." He urged her on, their little stray dog now resting by John's foot, a soft symbol of the journey they were on. Sarah took a deep breath, gathering her thoughts. "I've always felt this incredible connection with you, but every time I've thought of saying it out loud, I've held back, worried I could ruin things between us." John's heart raced. "You could never ruin this," he said, gesturing between them. "It's already special. But what if I'm wrong? What if you don't feel the same?" Her vulnerability floated like fireflies in the dark, illuminating her sincerity. "Sarah," he responded, his voice firm but gentle, "you're not wrong. I felt something too, something deeper than friendship." Her eyes widened. A spark of hope ignited. "Really?" "Really," he confirmed, taking a step closer. "I've been scared to say anything. I didn't want to risk what we already have, but I can't keep it inside anymore." A silence stretched between them, heavy with unspoken words and revelations. The air around them thickened, charged with a mix of exhilaration and fear of the unknown. Just as she opened her mouth to respond, another explosion of fireworks lit up the sky, casting vibrant colors over their faces and illuminating the uncharted territory of their connected hearts. "There's something special here," Sarah murmured, her voice trembling with realization. "I could feel it the very first time we met that little dog. I never thought we'd end up here." A smile crept onto John's face. "We found him together, just like we're finding ourselves now. We did something beautiful then, and I believe we can create something beautiful now. As they stood under the cascade of colors, the gravity of their shared moment began to settle in. In that glowing space, where laughter and joy swirled in celebration, they found themselves crossing the bridge from friends to something more profound. But just as the weight of their emotions began to settle, a commotion erupted from the group behind them. The sound of laughter turned into raised voices, confusion mingling in the air. "Did you hear? Someone's missing. Where's Sam?" Instantly, the bliss of the moment began to dissipate. Both John and Sarah turned toward the crowd, their hearts drumming rapidly as worry set in. "Who has Sam?" John asked, anxiety knotting in his stomach. "I don't know, but we should find out," Sarah replied, her fingers curling around his. As they pushed through the gathering crowd, uncertainty loomed again. Would their moment of truth slip away, overshadowed by impending chaos? The tension pulsed between them with every passing second. Would they discover something that might change everything they had just realized about themselves? Or would they just be pulled back into the chaos of a night? As they wove through the throng, John's pulse quickened. The laughter that had illuminated their conversation turned to anxiety, and he felt a knot form in his stomach. With every passing shout, he realized that the carefree evening they had shared was rapidly morphing into something darker. "Do you think Sam's okay?" Sarah whispered, her face pale and worried. "I hope so," he replied, trying to project steadiness. Inside, he was a web of conflicting emotions: fear for a missing friend, frustration at the interruption, and a sense of urgency to confirm what had become so clear between them only moments ago. They finally had an opportunity to be real with each other, and it felt cruel to have it overshadowed by anxiety. The crowd thickened near the bonfire, where several people were gathering, shouting for Sam as if their voices could pull him back from the void. John held on to Sarah's hand tightly, wishing this moment didn't he feel so eerily familiar. They'd already faced challenges together, but this felt different. They weren't just friends anymore. They had crossed into a territory where their hearts were exposed, and now it felt vulnerable. As they reached the edge of the group, John's friend Mark turned and spotted them, his face a mix of relief and worry. "Hey, I'm so glad you both are here. We can't find him. He was just playing over there by the trees," and now his voice trailed off, shaking his head as panic set in. "Did anyone check the lake?" Sarah interjected, her voice quickening with urgency. John felt a chill run down his spine. The night grew thicker, darker. The lake lay just beyond the tree line, shimmering under the glow of the remaining fireworks. The place held memories of laughter, just like the park that childlike joy felt miles away now. "Let's go check," John said, steeling himself. He could see fear wash across Sarah's face again, and with that gaze, she reminded him of the little girl they had found with that stray dog traversing toward an uncertainty that could change everything. As they moved toward the water, the atmosphere shifted. The reassuring camaraderie was now replaced by urgent whispers. The group fanned out, searching as they called for Sam, voices echoing across the still night. John Sarah squeezed his hand tighter. "If something has happened, I can't, hey," he reassured her, halting their steps for a moment. He turned to face her directly, cupping her face in his hands, his heart pounding. "Whatever happens, we face it together, okay? We've been through so much. We will find him. I promise. Okay, together." Her eyes searched his, finding solace in their depths. Just then, a cry erupted from the trees, sharper than any laugh they had shared. "Over here! I found him!" John's heart leapt, but soon intertwined with dread as they both rushed toward the sound. What if it was too late? What if everything shifted again, and they remained in a shadow of doubt, never fully confessing their feelings? They reached a clearing at the edge of the lake where a group was huddled around something on the ground. As they got closer, John felt a wave of nausea wash over him. His instinct screamed that this was a pivotal moment. "Sam, please be okay," Sarah called, fear coloring her voice. But as they broke into the circle, the reality of the situation took hold, and John's stomach sank. The laughter of fireworks now felt like a distant memory, overshadowed by the anxiety they faced. Then there he was, Sam, sitting against a tree, shaking but very much alive, his wide eyes reflecting confusion. Relief swept over John and Sarah, but just as quickly, an uneasy silence engulfed them, gripping their hearts. They had escaped one fear, but what about the truth lingering between them, waiting like the night sky to break wide open? Would they ever have their moment? Or was fate still whispering chaos into their plans? John exchanged a glance with Sarah, and in that moment, he understood. Their time was still not now. As the world around them swirled, the fleeting beauty of what they had started faded into an uncertain future. What happens when the magic of the night finally gives way to reality? The night air was thick with tension, uncertainty wrapped around John and Sarah like fog. As they stared at Sam, still shaken but safe, a bittersweet relief washed over them. They had been close to unveiling their truths, hearts brimming with possibilities, and now they felt as if they were back at square one, trapped in a moment of chaos once again. But just as doubt threatened to take over, a gentle touch brought John back to focus. Sarah squeezed his hand, grounding him in the reality that they were not alone. The warmth of their connection was undeniable. "Look," she whispered, nodding toward Sam, who was now being embraced by his friends, laughter and relief merging into a soft melody that floated around them. Smiles spread across faces. The air lightened. The tension slipped away, reminding John of the importance of every fleeting moment. Perhaps this little interruption was the universe's way of telling them they still had time. They didn't have to rush. Not everything had to be revealed tonight. "You okay?" John asked, leaning closer to Sarah, his voice gentle but laced with sincerity. "I think so," she replied, her brow furrowing slightly as she watched Sam's friends pull him into exuberant laughter. It makes me realize how quickly things can change." "Yeah," he nodded, lifting her chin with the touch of his fingers. "But it also reminds me that no matter the chaos, we've got each other. We faced the storm, and here we are again." His voice was steady, filled with the echoes of their journey, where vulnerability became their strength, where love waited patiently in the shadows. "Right?" Her eyes twinkled with something deeper as she scanned the circle of friends celebrating their reunion. "We'll have our moment. It's just taking a bit longer." And just like that, the unanswered questions began to settle. They were on a journey, one not defined by time frames or expectations. The truth they had sought to release was still there, ripe for the telling, but they realized they also needed to absorb this moment, one of light, laughter, and community. They drifted back from the crowd, hand in hand, navigating the dimming glow of the fireworks still lighting the sky. "Let us not rush," John suggested, a smile breaking through. "Tonight, it's not just about fireworks or Sam's scare. It's about us finding our way hand in hand." Sarah's face lit up with that familiar joy. "Exactly. We've already started painting our masterpiece, and it's going to take time, color by color." The determination in her voice made John's heart swell. "Let us promise to nurture it, no matter how challenging life becomes," he said, their gazes locking so deeply that the world around them faded away. "I promise," she replied, her voice strong and soothing. And there they stood, a certainty rising like the dawn, ready to embrace the journey ahead, no matter how long it took. The echoes of laughter finally melded with joyful shouts, drawing them back to the crowd. With newfound patience in their hearts, they intertwined their fingers tighter, filling that night with richer colors than ever before. They walked together towards their friends, ready to share in the joy and laughter that surrounded them. But an understanding was born between them. They would have their moment, and together they would paint their canvas anew with every truth, every layer, vulnerable and as they joined the celebration. John felt a sense of peace unfurl inside him. The whispers of uncertainty no longer clawed at him. Instead, warmth washed over him, and he understood that every interaction had its significance, every day a brushstroke on their shared canvas. Tomorrow would come with its own challenges, but for now, they were here together, and that would always be enough. And just as he was lost in the depths of these realizations, the final burst of fireworks painted the sky a beautiful tapestry that symbolized their journey through darkness into the light. This night was merely a beginning, but a profound sense of hope echoed within them, brimming with determination. "Let us tell them how." "We feel," John murmured, leaning closer to Sarah once again, feeling the thrill of their blossoming journey. "I can't wait," she smiled, eyes sparkling, as if even now, in the heart of twilight, they were ready to embrace everything that awaited them. He tightened his grip on her hand, knowing this was just the first step, an evolving journey of joy and love, yet to be fully painted, the beginning of a lifetime of colors waiting to burst forth. As the last firework faded into the night, John took a deep breath, feeling an overwhelming sense of gratitude for the girl beside him, for the community surrounding them, and for the life they were about to create together. A final moment lingered, charged with the promise of tomorrow. And as the stars twinkled overhead, John knew one thing for certain. They were ready to embrace the truth whenever it came. In that moment, he felt invincible. Now don't wait. If you enjoyed this transformation, subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive story. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this ending. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Only true fans understand the importance of lifting each other up through these actions.